Well, good morning, folks. After a week absent, it is good to be back with you today. And let me say thank you so much for tuning in to this series from Genesis chapters 1 through 3. And today we're talking about creation. We're going to talk about day 5 and 6a. So let's get right into it. Genesis 1 verses 20 through 25. And God said, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky." So God created the great creatures of the sea and every living and moving thing with which the water teems, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and increase in number, and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth." And there was evening, and there was morning, the fifth day. And God said, "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, and livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. You know, the creative activities of the previous days were preparatory to this day, bringing light, creating the sky with its colliding molecules to create atmospheric pressure and the precise mixture of gases in that atmosphere. And day 3, when God set boundaries upon the waters and upon the dry land and caused vegetation to appear, which would be food base for the birds and other living things. And when you examine these days with some attentiveness, you will see a deliberate and careful plan evident in this creation narrative. So God created these various spaces and supplied them all with what was necessary, and now is filling those spaces with living things. The life of day 5, please understand, is significantly different than the life that was created on day 3. Day 3 was what we might consider inanimate life that didn't have sentience, life that didn't have various senses. The life of day 3 had no built-in means of movement, where in response to seeing, hearing, sensing things, they could make a decision to move from one place to another. No ability to really choose where they are, how to get there, how long to stay. The life of day 3 was not like that. The life of day 3 had a reproductive process built into their life cycle, where they would produce seed, and seed then would produce further vegetative life. Now, the life of day 5 is quite different. The life of day 5 is described in the original as nefesh kaya. This is referring to animated life that has sensory means. They can see things, they can smell things, they can taste things, they can hear things. They have other sensory organs about them that enable these created things to respond to the very stimuli that is around them. This life is being granted by the Creator God, and this life of day 5 and the first portions of day 6 is quite complex. Now, evolution wants us to believe that across hundreds of millions of years, we've been able to decide that life started as a single cell kind of a thing, and across hundreds of millions of years and random chance went from very simple to incredibly complex as we see in our world today. And did that with no intelligent guidance, just did it as a response to random chance. This flies in the face of the law of thermodynamics that states that all things tend to disorder. We see that as we drive through the countryside, and we drive through the countryside and we see a home that's been abandoned for a number of years. And what's the condition? The land has tended toward disorder. The house itself is tending toward disorder. If you don't take care of your body, it'll tend toward disorder. All things tend toward disorder. They don't go from simple to complex. They go the other way, according to the law of thermodynamics. But yet, evolution is wanting us to believe that somehow, given enough time, things that were not alive gave rise to simple life, which then evolved into complex life, conscious life. And I just like, well, this is beyond impossible. This requires beyond a miracle. What we have recorded for us in Scripture by divine revelation is that God is the author, He is the source, He is the sustainer of the complex forms of life on our earth. Psalm 104, which I recommend you read sometime today. Maybe a little later this evening, you take time to sit outside and enjoy that psalm. It's an incredible, beautiful summary of the creative works of God. I'm going to give you a couple of verses out of Psalm 104. It tells us that all these created things look to you to give them their food at the proper time. When you give it to them, they gather it up. When you open your hand, they are satisfied with good things. When you hide your face, they're terrified. When you take away their breath, they die and return to the dust. You see, God is the author, the source, the sustainer of these complex forms of life. And as we look at days 5 and 6, the first part of day 6, the first category of life is that which is in the waters. We might call it marine life. God gave the command, and the